next panel discussion. Role of NEP as a game changer to revolutionize India's educational landscape. I would like to call upon the moderator, Dr. M. Muruganant, Provost, Adani University, to join us on stage. We also have Dr. Anju Sharma, IAS Additional Chief Secretary, Labour, Skill Development and Employment Department, Government of Gujarat, here for the third panel. Also requesting Engineer Kanwar Tushar Punj, Pro-Chancellor, Sri Sai University, to join us on stage. Along with which requesting Dr. V.S.K. Reddy, Vice-Chancellor, Malla Reddy University, to join us. Dr. Ravi Kumar Jain, Founding Director, SPARSH Global Business School. Mr. Srikar Alapati, Founder and Managing Director, Global Tree Careers Private Limited. Ms. Aarti Dwivedi, Account Director and Regional Head, ANG LinkedIn. Also would like to call upon Dr. K.E. Srinivasa Murthy, Principal, Ravindra College of Engineering for Women, Autonomous, Kurnool. Requesting Mr. Manish Mohta, Managing Director, Learning Spiral. Mr. Pratham Barot, Co-Founder and the CEO, Zell Education. And Mr. Swaminathan Ganesan, Co-Founder and CEO, SmartTail. Requesting all the panelists to please join us on the stage. Yes, sir, just a second. Need chairs. All right, so can we give all the panelists a big round of applause, please, as we get started with the third panel session for the wonderful day.
It has been a long day with a lot of profound and intriguing discussions all over. I'm sure your neurons are firing everywhere. And we know that the brain power consumes more energy in, in our physical aspect than the physical exercise itself. Having aware of that, and we have a very illustrious panel here. And I'm pleased to welcome each of them. I will not take time to introduce them or name them. Already it has been done. So I welcome the esteemed panelists as well. Thank you for being with us today. Now, we have been given a very, very important and a profound topic today, evening. Role of national education policy as a game changer to revolutionize India's educational landscape. Now, this statement is so rich. It is so rich with phrases we understand partially. It is so rich with implementation implications that we possibly have undertaken, and we know what the ground realities are. We will try to address it in one or the other way, because the panel is big and we have 40 minutes we'll wind up, and we'll try to wind it up even before that. Yeah, we have about 2 to 3 minutes per panelist to address a few other questions. I have written already a few questions. There may be some googlies coming by your way, but don't worry, we'll manage it. Right? At the end of the day, we will have it opened to the audience so that they can ask their questions and possibly work out a solution. So, national education policy since 2020, we have been deliberating, discussing on so many panels, right? And after 36 years, we have really crowned it. But then now it's time for implementation, all right? 3 years down the line. So national education policy being a game changer, and it's going to revolutionize India's educational landscape. The question now is about what is that educational landscape we're talking about, right? What is the country's educational landscape that we are targeting, right? So we have academicians here, and we have corporate, and we have a policymaker, okay? So I think it's a very, very holistic panel, right? So what I would do is I would request the 3 academicians sitting here to take this up, to throw some light on educational landscape. I'm not particularly pointing fingers here because the panel is big, all right? So it's for you.
Thank you very much for the great program today. And as a moderator is clearly mentioning that 2 to 3 minutes time, I'll try to see that
Well, I'm
maximum
watching.
3 minutes
Yeah,
time.
I'm watching.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And it's a great opportunity for me. And the only thing is everybody talking about the academicians, new education policy, but this great country, the start sometime in the 1985, the education policy has been designed. But fortunately or unfortunately now 2020, it's almost more than 35 years time, the education policy has been changed with expertise and industry, with all the policy makers. It's a great opportunity, all of us. As a being academicians, we are enjoying exploring the possibilities of new education policy, particularly for the students' point of view. Being a Malla University as a Vice Chancellor, we are implementing some of the policies, particularly for new education policy. But the only thing is, I think everybody knows that the multiple exit, multiple entry policy, I think it's a great opportunity for all of us. The multidisciplinary approach, if we take it any program like medical, or maybe in engineering, or maybe arts, science, doesn't matter. 80% of the content is focusing for the specialization previously. But today, fortunately, 50% of the content focusing specialization, remaining 50% multidisciplinary. The focus is multidisciplinary. It is student friendly, the academic flexibility is all together. It's a great honor for that. At the same time, university transfers, program transfers, online education, the multi-exit policy, multidisciplinary approach, but all the CBCS pool, that is most important, choice-based credit system. This system has to implement very seriously, because all these implementation is a great honor for the institutions and student friendly at the end of that student. Particularly for the diversified knowledge and employability opportunities and job-oriented programs is most important. But new education policy is exactly matching with the scenario. But only being academicians, being industry people, the challenge is how to implement effectively. That is the most effective challenge for all of us. But at the same time, the government of India, the country, right now the gross enrollment ratio, particularly for higher education, not more than 28 or 29% right now. The targeting for the 36 or 37%, maybe 10 years down the line. Now, this is the great opportunity to tune with this new education policy, the academicians, we are all academicians, matching with the industry 5.0 at the same time society 5.0. The industry, we need to travel as a technology people, as academicians, ultimately the industry as well as the society. The society 5.0, industry 5.0, academic 5.0. The integrating with these three parameters, we're all learned persons sitting in the delegates, we're all the panel members as well. This is the time to brainstorm ourselves, to match with the industry 5.0 and the society 5.0 with academic 5.0. Wishing the best, get the great honor for me. Thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Ravi, you want to add something?
Yes, I think I'll continue from where Dr. Reddy said, all 5.0s and 4.0s and all we have been discussing. See, I think NEP 2020 is enough, debated, discussed, deliberated for the last 3 years. And some ice has been cut and some good progress has also been made. But it's right time for all of us, especially in the academic world or even at the policy level, to relook at it, with what aspiration we started. This policy gave us a fantastic, very big canvas to work on. They said multidisciplinary, bigger institutions, fewer institutions and all. And they also, it also gives a very interesting, it lays the path. Drawing from Vedic literature, the core, I would say, if we have to boil down to the crux of what this policy want as an outcome, is 3 different things, or 3 related things in the development of global manpower: character, competency, and capabilities. Now, at higher education level, we often are obsessed with skilling part. I think Professor Ganesh mentioned about it. Now, having skill, for example, knowing how to operate Excel. If you don't have knowledge of where to operate it, you won't be effective. Drawing from management, I'm a professor of management and finance. If you don't know how to use your Excel skills in arriving at a valuation or do some financial modeling, your skill of knowing all the formulas of Excel is of no use. So the competency development is something which is more important, and perhaps NEP emphasizes on that. But NEP gives a fantastic roadmap. It said at schooling level, the focus should be on character building and linguistics and numericals. You know your language, learn multiple languages, and learn numericals. They say if these 2 things, numbers and languages, Research also shows that if you are a polyglot, you are sharper than average brain. Your mind operates differently. India has been land of multiple languages and numbers. We are the ones who gave zero to the world. We are the people who gave, astronomical calculations and astrological, calculations to the world. So it says the policy gives a roadmap where you say at schooling level, focus on character building till you are 12 years old, 14 years old. And from there, you work on building competencies. Competency, again, I'm at the cost of repetition, it says skills and the capability to use the skills, or your competency to use the skills is what competency is all about. And then at the higher education level and the level above that is where you apply it, where you're talking about building capacities. Now, this roadmap is well laid. The only problem is problem of interpretation in our own way. Somewhere we get confused, we pick up one element and say, no, this is the only one. Skill versus knowledge. We have made this as a fashion statement. I think NEP gives us this roadmap, and if the spirit is taken in a right way, it will be a game changer from moving away from Macaulay's model of producing clerks for the British era to people who are knowledgeable and who have capability to apply the knowledge. I think I rest my comments here. Thank you.
Perfect, Dr. Ravi. Thank you. Thank you so much. You touched on the person and the profession, and from all the way from character to employment. Thank you. Having done that, you want to add something, madam? No?
Just adding on to this, I just wanted to give you an example of the same competency. That when a representative of UGC had visited our university about 6 months back or so. So this competency issue and language issue, so we had experimented in our university that in one exam, 90% of the students failed. So, and that was algorithms. And we mainly cater not to the English medium students, we cater to the normal Gujarati and Hindi medium students. So I called them over. I said, "Bacha, क्यों नहीं fail कैसे हुआ? तुम तो class में regular आते हो सब." So, I realized children who scored, most of them scored less in other papers also, but English examination though they scored very well. So they said that we know, but we are not able to write in English. So then on our own, because new education policy has now given us that liberty and that framework that we can experiment with so many things. So we issued a circular in our university that questions will be asked in English, but the student can attempt in any language.
Perfect.
Hindi and Gujarati, of course, we cannot go for other languages. We don't have assessors for that. So when the UGC representative visited us and we told them about this, that we've done this, she was so impressed that after 1 week, they issued a circular to all the universities that why don't you do this? And I think that circular came after that. So we have to, NEP gives us now that edge to make all these changes, and we have to make the best use of this opportunity to focus on competencies, to focus on learning per se, and not on the superficialities part of it, not on the degree part of it, not on the marks part of it. That is what I was trying to say. All flexibilities we have to build in.
Excellent. So we already have an example of implementation, a successful implementation. Thank you, madam, for that. Now see, with that, I will now traverse to the larger picture slowly, because we have touched on the educational landscape where the pedagogy and the content have been put forward. Now let us look at, of course, the process inclusive. We are trying to change the game, because we have taken a topic, NEP as a game changer. What is that game? What is that game that we are trying to change? Yes, please.
Very good evening to all. I think the game, in layman language, a game always have a starting point and an end point. All the higher education institutes in India will have uniqueness in something or the other. In the coming time, we cannot expect every university to become best in research. There would be some universities who is going to have very good research competency. There will also be some universities which could have a very good taught programs, because all industries might not need research. There are also some universities who are going to be a cluster of autonomous collaboration with other universities to guide them. So what I feel is NEP is changing India's landscape because it is so fragmented. 50,000 higher education institutes by 2040, 2050, India will be the youngest nation to provide the manpower to full world. When we talk about this much magnitude, our education system has to match with global standards. Because I think NEP is giving us freedom, it is giving us autonomous, it is also giving us to experiment, as ma'am said, the use case. All the universities has to make a course, change of course. I think revamp, re-strategize, and re-implementation of strategies. Because every university has got different challenges, different ideology, and different geographical challenges as well. Because every university needs to look what type of industry is there, also what type of local needs are there. So that's what, a very thin line between a modern international approach where we are talking about machine learning, edtech. I think in the morning we have been listening with every small problem, there's an edtech company which is providing a solution to us. That's very good. And second, also the values, the system. So a balance has to be created. Course may be any, sir, the game. That's what I believe is everybody has to put their best step forward in the coming time.
Well, excellent, excellent. You touched upon the learning scape and the learning scope in essence, right? So that's exactly what we are trying to look at. Superb. So we are moving towards enabling learning, learning being the focus, and we have to also look at the process of how we make it happen. Well, the technologists gave some idea on the house of the game changer. Because technology seems to be a great fabric viewer here. And if the technologies can throw light, we have heard Coursera, we have heard, Unstop, so many here, right? But then relevant to the national education policy and how it's going to enable and accelerate this pace at which the implementations can happen and the learning paradigm shift.
So I'll take that.
Yes, please.
Manish Mohta from Learning Spiral, and we are working with more than 50 plus universities in the public sector all across India. And this is a question that we see that, how do we go about implementing it? So one key question which came about was that, in the corporate or the management dimension, you always talk about that what you measure drives the behavior. And if you can't measure something and continuously keep on measuring it, you are not likely to lead to changes. You can have all the great dreams, but if you really want to implement NEP, then you also need to have the right metrics to measure. What is the game that we are changing? That was your first question. I mean, I'll connect these two. I think the bigger game is that you have a demographic advantage. Can we train them to be able to actually become an asset, or will they become a liability because they are untrained? And I'm using training in a very, very broad sense. If you talk of a company, you hire fresh resources, we train them to become productive for the company's goals. In an Indian, country context, can we train our youth to become productive or hyper-productive, excellent in what they are doing, so that the country moves, over and beyond at a greater speed? That's the game that we are wanting to disrupt. Now, can we measure that? If you can't measure it, whether you are effectively being able to deliver this, then we are a lost cause. We are not likely to see the kind of dramatic implementation which otherwise we would. So, we also come from an assessment background, and, the edtech's implementation into measurement of the outcomes, measurement of, what exactly learning is able to achieve on both sides, because when you assess, you're also assessing the effectiveness of your system. Your students are not faring well. First sem not faring well, the next batch not faring well. Perhaps there is something wrong with the system. That's why the students are not faring well. So the assessment is a double-edged sword. So when you are measuring both the sides of the coin, effectiveness of the system, effectiveness of your process, as well as the effectiveness of what the student was before and after the course delivery, that's where you can be, assured that yes, this can be, this is actually being on the ground, you're seeing some implementation. And I think technology can do it at a scale with accuracy, and that's where our role is.
Perfect, perfect. Manish, you have made my job easy here by, if I have to put it in a precise manner, you're talking from information through translation, attaining transformation, right? Where implementation is a part of it, right? And then the revolution that needs to be looked at is about revolution in the pace at which the country disrupts its growth and grows at a different pace. That's exactly what you're trying to say. Now, having said that, if that is the revolution we are looking at, okay, where the country dynamics, the progress of a country, which is a much larger vision, while we are talking about learning per student here, and then we are looking at citizens of the future who are going to disrupt the country's progress, and which is a very, very responsible and accountable aspect of an education institution, right? When we are looking at that, and then when we are looking at only technology being addressed, because Ravi touched upon an aspect of the personal development, the personality development, and then comes the enabling aspect of it, right? So I'm now looking at a holistic model here, because that's exactly what national education policy captures, a very holistic model. Progress as a person and as a professional, right? So this is exactly where we are bridging the gaps, the best of the East and the best of the West, because the East has a lot to do with the person, the West has a lot to do with the professional aspect of it, where a lot of developments come on board. Given that, now this is a very general question. Do we have technology as a boon or a bane in this whole process? Are we overdoing technology or are we underplaying technology?
Yeah, I would like to talk a bit about this part of the technology implementation towards this NEP 2020. Yes, as rightly mentioned, it can be a boon or a bane, right? So I think one distinctive advantage for NEP implementation with respect to technology, I think a lot of universities in India can deliver certain part of credits online. And these credits, if online, they can, the respective university can tie up with some tech player or with some other university which has a very strong platform. I think it can offer a great benefit for multiple people. So great benefit for the student and also for the university, because these respective subjects the university need not do on their own. So they can maybe outsource or utilize the third party tech player or the other university, and the rest of the curriculum can be delivered by their own. And the other part of the benefit with respect to NEP, NEP allows lot of foreign universities to set up their campus in India. And not just setting up the campus, also collaborations on multiple fronts. One of the example which I mentioned, part of few credits being delivered through them. And in fact, I always wonder why our Indian universities are not listed in the top 50 global ranked, or very few maybe in the top 100 in terms of the global rankings. So you always get surprised, whereas we have one of the finest institutions in terms of engineering through IITs, managements through IIMs, and NALSAR through law, and so many other top class institutions. But unfortunately, Indian institutions, not many are ranked in the global 100. And I would say that using technology and taking the help of this NEP, implementing NEP, I think lot of institutions in India could be taking the leverage of world-class universities. And other simple example, simple thing that I always get surprised, abroad universities, they don't have, most of them don't have a concept called examinations. Right? Students need to do their assignment, complete the assignment, and of course few universities and few subjects have tests. But how are those tests conducted? Those are open book tests. Right? So students can open their books or browse through the websites, anything, and still complete the test, which I think we do not have in India. So the reason they have kept the system like that is they don't teach, they don't spoon feed the students. And in fact, the system is in such a way that the students will be more independent. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Srikar. In fact, you have also touched on very, very important points on how a purpose-driven approach should be looked at, and where if the learning should be of a global order, the engagement from the global sector should be the focus, as well as the collaboration and the partnership that the technology enables. As we keep talking about moving from a pedagogical model to what we say an andragogical model where self-learning is enhanced, that is an approach difference we need to look at. Now, the whole entire ecosystem that we're talking about, the education ecosystem, needs to be thinking through in a different way, right? I'm looking at data. I'm looking at data of people. I'm looking at data of people, the way they connect, the way they learn. And I know for sure LinkedIn Learning has been contributing quite a bit to that space, right? Arthi, you want to add something on that? On how, as a learning head, you have looked at the statistics behind the scene and wondered, how can we move this further?
Certainly. Thank you so much for that question. So, working with LinkedIn and particularly with the space of LinkedIn Learning, what I have seen, talking specifically about NEP policy, today we have discussed a lot about skills, and then we discussed about giving the option to the student what they want to do and what they want to learn. I feel how LinkedIn Learning is adding value there because we are a repository of 18,000 plus courses. Now it gives the decision in the hand of the student. They are obviously learning the core curriculum in their university, they are getting that degree. What we say at LinkedIn Learning, we are supplementing the education. So now when we are talking about NEP policy, even where now the student has the option to choose from different various streams. First year they can go for a B.Tech, and then maybe the second year if they think that they want to do something in maybe psychology, they can go ahead and do it. So certainly I feel, answering your question, sir, LinkedIn Learning gives that advantage. Today as a student, as a fresher, if I want to learn digital marketing together with my B.Tech, because I want to be an entrepreneur, start a tech company, I should know digital marketing even, basic of finance even, Excel even, etc. That is the advantage which LinkedIn Learning is adding.
Thank you, Aarti. See, while the students who are self-learners do learn through this process, but they also connect through the tool that you have. As they learn, they connect to the mentors and they also get mentored, which I have seen in my own institute, wherein they learn something and then they look at who has given that, they connect and they start engaging with them. So we are encouraging partnership in some way and collaboration in many ways. I'm coming to the policymaker again. On the entire ecosystem of education, Madam, you have been with us for 7 years and contributing in education and still. The gap from the policy itself, now National Education Policy has come in 2020 and we are looking at implementation in bits and pieces, fragmented. We are implementing, we know that first year should be a certificate program, second year should be a diploma, third year should be a degree, and the fourth year should be honors, and then directly PhD. Well said, excellent. Now the curricular rigor that we are looking at to change, at the pace at which we are looking at, is not happening on the ground. Yeah, primarily because we are actually not dealing with information, we are dealing with humans and the minds therein, right? How do we help from the regulatory aspects and from the policy side to encourage these minds to slowly and steadily change? Will there be an incentivization for this? Will there be anything that the government will look at?
So, I think the way we should look at it, the new education policy has given us a direction. Only very certain portions of new education policy require a regulation from the UGC, and they have been issuing regulations. All these new education policy came in 2020. And the last 3 years, quite a few regulations have come, and they are the new national credit framework academic credit framework has come. Then skill academic credit framework has come. The flexibility guidelines, all these things they've been issuing regularly. But at the same time, the universities have to understand that there are a lot of things which the NEP has given a direction, to us, Disha, not the directive, direction to us. And do we really want to implement it? And if you want to implement it, what is the obstacle? There's no obstacle. For example, we have implemented new education policy in Kaushalya, the skill university, in all the way. We have a credit framework in line with the new framework. We have complete flexibility. The entry and exit is the first thing that has not been implemented, and UGC is not coming in between that. UGC has very clearly said that you implement the flexible entry system. So what we have done is, we have named the courses like that. And when we have built up the credit framework, if you do 1 year of this course, graduation, you get this certificate, and we have named the certificate also. You do 2 years, so diploma. So you can take admission either in diploma of 2 years, or even if you exit this particular course in 2 years, you will get this diploma. Beautiful. 3 years, you complete your graduation. 4 years, you complete your graduation honors. 5th year, you complete your PG, if you have done 4 years. And if you have not done, then 3 plus 2. So this is a 5-year continuum, and you have to work out your curriculum according to that. Where is UGC coming in between that? See, UGC has given complete flexibility on most of the curriculum aspects, on most of the integration, and rather they've been pressing very hard that integrate skills into knowledge. Knowledge and skills, they don't go separately. They are not mutually exclusive. Of course, some jobs require more knowledge, some jobs require more skills. So that composition of the job has to differ. So when you require more skills, you have to go for more of diploma courses. And where you require more knowledge, there you have to go for more of the higher education and things like that. One of the critical aspects that we have not discussed in this is critical thinking. One of the skills, somebody made a presentation that this is the most required skill right now, is critical thinking. And 3 years of graduation have to really go into building the critical thinking skills of the student. But critical thinking skills are required mostly for this jobs that require more of knowledge. But more of skill part is a manual part, or doing a repetitive task may not require that kind of skill. So courses have to be structured along to them.
Perfect.
Along to that. Direction is there. Yeah. Regulatory aspect, UGC is now, how I look at UGC, I'm not a part of UGC or I'm not part of MHRD. I'm a state government policy maker. But when I interact with them, when I speak to them, when I discuss with them on the various issues, one UGC representative also sits on our academic council. So on the contrary, they are very positive. They are very supportive. And they guide you. And now it's very less of regulation. It's more of support and guidance, and new education policy has made that very amply clear. Go for dual degrees, go for foreign collaboration, go for industry collaborations, go for flexibility, go for multidisciplinary courses, go for CPCS, go for flexibility in credits, go for skill integration. All that is very much there.
Superb, superb. I just wanted this to come out of you. Excellent. No, you just mentioned it's a directive tool. Freedom with accountability and responsibility lies with the education system. Superb. That's exactly what we're looking at. Now, if we are looking at degree programs, right? You just mentioned dual degree programs. Pratham, you want to pick that as an example and comment on it?
Sure. So thank you so much. So guys, my name is Pratham. I specialize in the field of finance and accounts. And as ma'am was saying, one of the biggest changes we've seen is earlier students had to choose obviously one of the disciplines. And now we have so many students who have taken up law or engineering, but they have the ability to take up a dual qualification, a dual degree, where they can also specialize in the field of finance. So all the CA professional equivalent kind of qualifications which are recognized today, they take them as a dual qualification, a dual degree. And what has happened is their ability to get placed, the ability to get sort of recognized in the market because of this somebody who is a lawyer but also understands the detail of finance, somebody who's into engineering and in-depth tech, etc., also understands finance again. We've seen people really taking up, 5 years ago they couldn't get these kind of placements, they're going to get these kind of opportunities. So to keep it crisp and short, this is what we see as the primary benefit of NEP for our students.
Thank you, Pratham. See, while my clock is telling 29 minutes, that thing is telling time up. All right, so I think I have to stick to time. All right, excellent. No, thank you for that example. Now, yeah, I'm coming to Swaminathan, Ganeshan, right? So, see, the point here is while we're talking about all these aspects, now you are coming from a technology view again. Well, the degree programs that we are talking about, multiple degree programs, micro programs, minor programs, or nano programs, you know, we have a whole basket of supermarket model which we can offer, all right? Now, will the technology be able to support what we want? And, you know, somebody was mentioning today that we need a very, very interactive tool. You know, it cannot be one way. It cannot be a video, but we need a very interactive tool, right? How far are we from achieving that?
Good evening, everyone. This is Swami from SmartTail. So SmartTail is a deep tech company. Being a deep tech company, I can tell you this first. It's always education first, technology next. So in terms of what is actually required, I'll probably answer this question saying, can technology help? If it's a binary answer, yes. But more of the answer is related towards what is that we require from an engineering graduate who's going to join us, or from any graduate for that matter, is what all the gentlemen and gentlewomen actually spoke about, is communication, the critical thinking, the collaboration, and the creativity. So these 4 skills is mostly required. And all of this, can it be imparted via technology alone? Humbly, I would like to disagree. The collaboration aspects, the communication aspects cannot, even with the advent of ChatGPTs, I do not think that we cannot just rely on technology. There is a limit, and there should be a limit to where we use technology. And there has to be a human touch, because that's where you scale as a human being. That is part number 1. The part number 2 of the answer is that all this while, we have always been measuring the final goal. In the sense, I give a project to a student, and the student is able to achieve the project, and then if there is a report that is actually coming, then great, he's going to go out with flying colors, right? So predominantly, this is what we've been doing for hundreds of years, I mean, all across the world. What needs to change today, and more specifically in India, because we have moved from service industry to product industry. India has moved leaps and bounds in the last 5 years, though we are not still prepared for it. We have moved away, and now we are not worried about the final goal. Even if the program doesn't work in the end, say, when we do an interview, it's still fine. What we look at is the approach. What we look at is the strategy. What we look at is he able to understand the problem at least? Is he able to come up with 2-3 alternates? Is he able to think critically and say, okay, this is why I'm taking this decision? So the power of decision making in the younger generation, can they make a conscious decision, which is not because it's written in some book, or which is not because some mentor told them. It's because these are the reasons that I'm actually outlining, and this is why I'm making this decision. If they can do that, with the 4 C's combined, that's what we're looking for. And that can come aided by technology, but not only with technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are actually looking at either formative or the summative, which is going to win, but then it's going to be a mix. And the mix is supposed to be made wisely by the institutions and the teachers who are on the ground. So while I have to close it because this big screen is telling me time, it's yelling at me actually, time's up, fully read. All right, so I will open it for one question and then summarize it, okay? So one question from audience for the panel, and if it is really, really so compelling, that question that you cannot live without it, without getting an answer, please throw it here. Yes, please.
So it is good to hear about the benefits that NEP is going to provide. I guess my question just is it, I mean, you mentioned that it's not rolling out or getting adopted at the pace that we would like to see it. So what are those obstacles or things that are holding it back? And you know, can technology, for example, help to resolve some of those?
Okay, let me get this question right. can technology help in the implementation of NEP?
Well, two
At
parts,
pace and
right? So
scale.
first is, yeah, I mean, is it actually, are there obstacles to the rollout and the adoption? Is it going as fast as the panel thinks it should? And if not, then can technology help to solve that?
Are there obstacles? Are there obstacles, academicians? Are there obstacles?
The only obstacle that I see is the change management among us. We are reluctant, we are waiting for some white knight to come and help us. कि कोई आएगा करके देगा and all. Now as ma'am has rightly said, pathway is led for you, liberty is given to you, go get it.
Get it done.
Now from academic bank of credits to even recently, they talked about you can form cluster universities. Somebody talked about cluster.
Yeah, yeah.
The notification is already out. But people are still not, So the resistance or the roadblock is our own mindset because we are used to certain way of playing
Ravi,
the game.
Taken, point taken. Dr. Reddy, you want to add one quick sentence?
Yeah. Only thing is, we are all being academicians, right? Even myself also very strong academician. But only thing is, as a university vice chancellor, we are academicians. We are not accepting much change generally, including me. But this is the time to think more seriously. The only thing is 3 parameters. The first, if everybody think about the student point of view, what is the student interest? That is most important. Now we need to give the chance for the student to give the flexibility for the academic line as a multidisciplinary. Just as a best example, there is a 160 kids for the 4-year degree. I'll take only minute time.
Yeah.
Almost 160 kids time, especially for the 4 years time. Instead of 160, please try to give the 300 kids. The choice is more. The multidisciplinary is most important. That is the student may be interest. The second thing is academic flexibility. We need to give the, particularly for the examination reforms and evaluation system and assessment is the most important. If the mathematics subject assessment is different, programming is assessment different, science is assessment different, physics is assessment. Give the chance for the faculty, give the chance for the professor. Take it more seriously for the academic line. Then the third point is particular for the curriculum. The curriculum, we need to teach for the content delivery mechanism, the reaching for the students, whether content delivery is reaching to the audience or not. That is most, content delivery, academic flexibility, examination reforms, together is an NEP National Education Policy 2020. Thank you. It's the last, first and last for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this point. So the takeaway, let me just few sentences to take away. Here everybody is important, all right? So all the way from the boards to the people who are handling it to the students. So let's appreciate that. Policy to practice needs everybody in the ecosystem to be embracing this spirit and embarking this spirit. And that's where the freedom lies, all right? AI is good. Artificial intelligence is good. But there's one more AI which is not good, the ignorance and arrogance of the system. It's not good, all right? AI. Now, change is imminent. We better embrace it, and that's why we're talking about the freedom here. Now, I'll just summarize it, all of this with 5 phrases. The scroll, S-C-R-A-L, okay, which is the outcome of learning. S for solution centricity, C for creativity, R for resilient, A for adaptability, L for lifelong learning. This is going to be the future graduate attributes that we're going to look at so that we can transform these future graduates as global citizens. With that, I thank the organizers for this wonderful time and sessions and the hospitality. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. I would check. Hello, check. Yes, I would now request Mr. Sudhakar Rao, Director ICFI Group, to please join us on the stage and felicitate all the panelists with the mementos. So requesting Mr. Sudhakar Rao, Director ICFI Group, to please join us on stage. Can we welcome sir with a big round of applause, please?
you.